Hero MotoCorp is world's largest two-wheeler company. So last few years we've set up our CSR vision. The CSR vision is to have a greener, safer and an equitable world. That means from a greener perspective, we focus on environment and sustainability. From a safer perspective, it is primarily about road safety. And when we speak about equitable, it's about various sections of society which are underprivileged, also about girl child, women, people who are specially abled. So we focus on each one of them. And we also focus on communities which are around our locations. So when I talk of projects, so under each of these, let me share one or two projects under each one of them. So when I talk about greener, for example, greener is about environment, about sustainability. So we are running a campaign where we are planting trees. So we are, as of date, planted more than 7 lakh trees, not just in NCR or Delhi, which is perhaps world's most polluted place, but few other areas around Delhi, in Indore, Chandigarh, various other locations. And the focus that we have given over there is not about just planting trees, but involving the communities, involving students, and also ensuring that these trees survive. I'm really happy that the number of trees that have survived is more than 90%. As part of this, we are also doing something called Green Corps. We have taken 100 schools in Delhi. In each school, 100 students, and they are being groomed as Green Corps. They will be the kids who will actually ensure that not just in their schools, but all over, they tell people as to how planting trees helps. That's one part. If I look from a safety perspective, which is a second pillar, I'll just again say one or two projects. We are running a huge campaign, which is a 360-degree campaign to sensitize people on safe riding habits. It starts with those people who know driving, to teach them on theory, on other aspects of how to drive safely. Also the kids who do not know driving, but to them we tell them safe riding habits day one. They are also our influencers who influence their parents as to how to ride safely. For that we run a project called SPC, which is Student Police Cadet, where more than 2,200 students are there. We also run road safety clubs in more than 1,000 schools and colleges, where these kids are actually being taught on various aspects of training. And then, to cover up the entire thing, we run a huge campaign on social media, on TV, on print, on things like Twitter, YouTube, and others, to create an awareness about road safety in the country. Third is about equitable. Let me again give you two projects over there. One is what we call as Project Shiksha. It is a project which is a 360-degree project focusing on education of kids from various aspects. So what we do is we take schools, primarily government schools, where we start with infrastructure, so the entire school is painted, renovated, the entire thing is done. Then in most of the schools we find the toilets are not there, especially for girl child there's hardly any toilets, so we build toilets over there. In a lot of schools there's no light, so we put in solar lamps and even solar power systems over there. Many schools do not even have benches where kids can sit, so we provide benches to them. After all this, when we see labs are not there, so we provide them with labs, whether it's science or others. But even after this, there are times when we still feel that the kids may not get that kind of exposure. So we also run something called career counseling classes. So there are more than 20,000 odd kids for which we run career counseling all over. So that gives a 360 degree to this Project Shiksha. Let me give another thing, which is on specially abled, for example. That's one which is one of perhaps neglected areas in the country. So our athletes, para-athletes, so we have been supporting them to go to various championships. So they went to Rio Olympics or Rio Paralympics. They went to World Championship in England. Recently the youth team went to Dubai. So we focus on them. There are a lot of people in Jaipur whom we actually help in getting various limbs. There are people in Udaipur, Narayan Seva Sansthan, where we give again people limbs. A lot of the stuff that we do for those sections of society which is especially abled to do that. And one of the things that we do also do for them, especially for blind, partially blind people, is training them. So they are being trained on various aspects, and all these trainings are such that it is linked to jobs. So where we say that at least 70 to 80% of them after they complete training also get job. The third is on women. So there's a huge focus that we give from women perspective. And when I say women and girl child, it starts from the age of 3 to 4 and goes up to whatever age we can say. So we have a program called Hamari Pari. So under this we empower girls. So these girls, whether for their education, health, nutrition at the young age, many of the kids who do not go to school, to help them get into school, those who go to school to help them pass through and provide them with tuitions and things like that. As they progress, as I said earlier, career counseling, the other stuff on toilets and all. But beyond that, what we also have done is, many of these girls are then being trained on job-oriented courses, whether it's related to beauty parlor, whether it's related to computer. In fact, two-wheeler mechanics, there are a lot of two-wheeler mechanic girls who have actually learned two-wheeler mechanic, and they are working with various organizations. So these are all job-oriented stuff. And one aspect that we also do is to help the community to ensure that the environment for girls is safer. So what we do is we are actually tying up with, we have tied up with the various state police authorities, be it in Delhi, be it in Jaipur, Gurgaon, various other districts in Haryana, in Uttarakhand, various other places where we provide the women police officials two-wheelers. So these two-wheelers are provided, they're also being given training and also provided helmets and other stuff, so that when there's a crime against women, the women police officers can respond immediately. So we are focusing on that. So from a women empowerment perspective, we are doing a 360-degree thing. We just started one more project which we call as Ek Pahal. Ek Pahal is a beginning, one beginning. So we have tied up with the government of Haryana. All the women ITIs, and there are 12 of them over there, the girls over there would be trained on how to ride a two-wheeler. Our focus is that if these girls know how to ride a two-wheeler, they'll become mobile. Mobility is the biggest tool for empowerment of girls. So whether they have to go for tuition, whether they go for college, whether they have to do other stuff, or help their parents, or when they get married, help their family, help their kids, the entire thing on the mobility piece actually works. So that's how we are working on some of these projects. I think one of the biggest tasks or challenging tasks of a CSR head or an organization is to find the right agency also. It's not easy. One would read statistics on net which would say that 99% of NGOs are fraud, some say 90% of the NGOs are fraud, or things like that. Also, the key thing is, if an organization, if I am investing something on CSR funds, I would want a return which is a social return, which means that the impact on the society has to be there. It's not a money which has to be thrown. So we actually take due diligence, a lot of care in finding the partners. So there are a lot of partners who approach us, there are a lot of people whom we approach, but then we do a full evaluation of each one of them, do a lot of site visits, go to their beneficiaries, go to their locations where they're doing projects, get feedback from other companies for whom they say that they have done projects. Also, when we meet people of the NGO, one can really figure out whether they are really genuine. A lot of times you can say that, okay, they are more into ensuring that they get the money and that's the end of it. So this is a tough task. It's not easy, but we do our due diligence in a big way. So the challenges include, number one, of course, right from identifying a good NGO, a creditable NGO. But moving forward, I think while you have done that part, then comes the second piece of challenge. So challenges many times come from communities. So a lot of times when community would say that, yes, I want this, but when you go into community, then there are issues within the community. So the sarpanch might need something, but his panchayat may not agree. Or there are times that then some influential people within the village or that community may go against that particular project. So there's huge amount of so-called, what we call in corporate word, change management, that also has to go in to ensure that it is, all these guys are convinced. And only when we feel that everyone wants that project, then we do. Otherwise, one has to defer those projects or even drop those projects. That's the second piece. The third piece is, after you have done, how do you sustain these projects? These are not one-off. So if I put in a toilet, I need to ensure that the toilet remains clean. It's being used. It's not that it's being locked by the teacher or locked by somebody else and only when it's being used, or it's dirty and after a few weeks it's not even worth using. So we give huge focus on sustainability. Then it will be a challenge. It involves a lot of money, a lot of effort, but we do that. So there's the local beneficiaries and our teams work jointly from a perspective to ensure sustainability. And the last piece is, even after you have ensured sustainability, how do we ensure that the community for which we did this project is really getting benefited? What is the impact? How do we assess the impact? How do we measure the impact? How do we see what issues we may be facing? And then we may have to redo some part of it. So that entire thing is also a big part of the entire challenge that one faces as CSR head. See, I think while those recognitions do give a lot of kick and they're very motivating, I'm also thankful that it's a team and the entire ecosystem that works and one does get recognition. But it's not just efforts of one person, but efforts of everyone. But the key thing over here, as I see based on my experience as the IT person and a CSR person, it's not about recognition, it's not about anything, but it's at the end of the day, the value that you are giving. The value those projects are creating for the end beneficiary. If we focus on value, if we focus on impact, if we focus on getting the right partners, if we ensure that those projects are done on a timely basis, rest everything will automatically follow. But if we start chasing those and don't focus on this, we might get one or two of those, but we'll never get this. CSR at the end of the day is about delivering value to the society. Each organization has a money, so 2% of our net profits have to be given. But they cannot be thrown. One has to drive value. The society has to drive, and that's the mandate of CSR law also. So as CSR people, not just CSR, but CSR people across the country, my only request would be that let's focus on giving huge value out of the money that each one of us is spending. If you do that, the rest everything will follow automatically.